It's Tuesday night, it's 9 o'clock, and that can only mean one thing. The RTA Motorsport Ray Racing Formula Ford 1600 series rolls around again. We're back on, well, I say home soil for this series. Round 6 of the Formula Ford 1600 series in conjunction with Ray Racing and RTA Virtual Motorsport. My name is Kevin Galvin. Alongside me is Evan Dalton. You're watching here on Gantry TV. And Evan, another series rolls round of what's been an absolutely topsy-turvy championship thus far.
Yeah, the Tuesday night staple in households across the country is back, and we have a fabulous championship battle coming towards I wouldn't say conclusion just yet, but we're certainly getting there. We're over the halfway point in the season. This is our last race on British soil in Snetterton. We've done the rest. Have we left it to the best? I'll leave that up to the drivers and everyone watching at home. But big championship fight, still a lot to be decided in the A and B championship. I'm very much looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why people up and down the country watch it. We've got thrills, we've got spills, we've got crashes, we've got memes, we've got in-jokes, we've got political references, and the occasional Junior B footballer turns up and does 400 laps. He's not here tonight. We'll get to that in a second. But do give us a subscription on YouTube. That's how you get into us on the chat. Do give us a thumbs up on the stream as well. Thanks to Damien McMullen, our B Championship leader, for having a chat with us, saying best of luck to everyone tonight. Thanks for John McDonald as well, fresh from his recent hotel stay. He says, let the streams begin. And let the games begin. We've got 3 rounds left now, 9 races left in total in this championship. We've got Snetterton this evening, Leadendon next week, which is really tight and twisty, and Phillip Island, which is really tight and twisty in round 8. We moved to Okayama last week from Knockhill to try and enable a little bit more open racing. That's what we largely saw, Evan, but we saw quite a lot of accidents as well, particularly up the front.
Yeah, we did. It was sort of an unfamiliar sight. Usually the accidents were coming in the midfield, but we saw them up in the battle for the race lead. Some big accidents across multiple races. Jason Smith as well being handed a 15-point penalty for one of them. He, of course, had a big incident coming near the end of last week's action. But hopefully we can get back to, I don't want to say basics, but back to good, clean racing here at Snetterton, because we did see an improvement for a week or two when we went to Donington. The racing was good, it was clean, it was fair. But look, it's an entertaining evening in store, no matter what, whether that be through clean racing or whether that be through a few controversial incidents.
Yeah, you're no doubt going to get your drama as the clock ticks away there as part of our qualifying. A particularly long track, as we're more longer than we're used to, I suppose, particularly when you consider the Brands Hatch Indy circuit we had earlier on. 4.7 kilometers, that's almost 3 miles in old money. So a fewer laps, fewer opportunities for the guys to get their laps in. So it makes every single lap in this qualifying session hugely important. Now, to wrap up from last week, if you weren't watching, Ronan Doherty qualified P1. He'd had an awful time in Donington and slipped off top of the championship, which saw Jason Smith and Cooper top of the table going into round 4. Ronan qualified P1 and then immediately had a bad start, swallowed up by both Jason Cooper and Jason Smith, and contact between Cooper and Doherty. Cooper down the inside. Smith got away scot-free, but then he was followed by Jordan Kelly and Hans Mollett, the man who put in an enormous amount of laps over the course of the week. He's now, unfortunately, disabled his driver 61, so we can't keep an eye on how many laps he had anymore. Thankfully, no contact, though, with that 3-way battle. Behind them, you had Ronan Doherty then battling with Peter Dempsey. The 5 of those in their 2 separate battles, battling it out over the course of race 1, no contact, and it finished Smith, Kelly, Mollett on the podium steps, then Doherty and Dempsey. He too then saw those same 2 battles developing, this time Dempsey jumping Doherty, but up front Mollett, I say, went into Kelly on the turn 5 hairpin. That was a sign of things to come. Cooper ended up on his roof when John McDonald went a bit squirmy, who's listening to us here, and then Cooper fired himself up down the inside in a gap that was always closing, vaulted up over the top of John McDonald's car, and that was kind of him out of race 2. And only a few moments later, some neck code meant that Mollett turned into Kelly, going for the run in turn 4. Mollett then taking the lead, but not for long. Smith further on up that lap, taking the lead. And it was a bit of a weird one, that incident. We can come back to some of those incidents as well. Then Peter Dempsey with an enormous dive bomb in turn 4. He hits Jason Smith and managed to survive. And just as we were talking about how Jason Smith's car left a charmed life, he kind of squeezed out Hans Mallet in the inside. The Norwegian turning the now championship leader, as you can see on your screen, or sorry, the championship second place, should I say, as you can see on your screen in front of you. And then to cap that all off, he overcooked turn 5 and ended up smacking into the back of Ronan Doherty. But yeah, Doherty hangs on, wins race 2 ahead of Mallet and Dempsey. Then reverts race 3 was the reverse grid that we do here on Gantry, or on the RTA Championship. We'll show you the regulations in a second. But in the reverse grid, Jordan Kelly takes second early doors. Dempsey and Doherty also make up places. Kelly and Chris Knox fighting. Dempsey dives in on turn 1 and lap 4, but overcooks it and spins. He ends up taking out then Hans Mallet and Jason Smith, which allows Rona Doherty and Jordan Kelly to battle it up the front. Kelly makes a mistake at the hairpin. Doherty goes in head, and Kelly just thinks to himself, right, I'll slot in behind. They work together. Chris Knox finishing 3rd, but some great finishes elsewhere in the grid. Sean McGoldrick 4th, Tony Stack 5th, and then you have O'Shea, Melia, and Cooper rounding off the top 7. Jason Smith finishing down in 14th. So as you can see, after all my talking, also very important to point out, on the day, that man in the screen you can see behind you, Eric Couillard, he was our driver of the day, having battled through the stage 4 cancer therapy, the chemotherapy he's getting at the moment, to finish all 3 races with that Feck Cancer livery, sponsored by Potato Nation. To be fair, sponsored to Potato Nation would sponsor a freaking roller derby now if it was on the go, but that's beside the point. And that basically leaves us now with Rona Doherty back up the top of the standings, then Jason Smith and Jason Cooper, Jordan Kelly, Chris Knox, Sean McClements. You can see those names in front of you, like McGoldrick making a big move, Tony Stack making a big move. And despite the fact that Peter Dempsey is virtually within the top 5, or battling within the top 5, he finds himself 10th in the championship. So things are starting to shape up. When we were talking about Jordan Kelly, he was way down earlier on, has really fired himself back up there in line with winning it, in line for a shout of winning this championship, should I say.
Yeah, he's put himself right back up there near the top with the 2 Jasons and Ronan. We seem to have I was going to say an established 4, but Chris Knox still definitely in with a shout. But we seem to have our established championship contenders now at this point, and Jordan Kelly just about bringing himself back in there. Of course, took a win last week, took a win in Donington Park as well, and then took a win in Ulton Park. So he's taking wins and just slowly getting those consistent results to match it and getting back up there. But currently top of qualifying as well is Jordan Kelly, so he's looking to continue this strong form.
Yeah, and you can see him. Yeah, it's Jordan seems to be on a bit of a roll at the moment. And we spoke to him last week, Evan, and I thought it was quite interesting that he himself said, you know what, I've had a lot of incidents earlier on this championship. He obviously knows he has the pace because he's up there. So it's more just a case now of kind of boxing clever and making sure that you get those consistent results throughout the rounds. Because like Ronan Doherty had a bit of a mare in Donington, Jason Smith had a bit of a mare last week in Okayama. So in a way, if you can kind of stay in around the top 5, or for really Jordan, top 3 in and around every race, then the likelihood is you don't necessarily have to go out and win every race. There's only 2 points difference between first and second. You just need to check your ego a little bit and just keep getting those consistent results.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we saw a little bit from Jordan last week. There was a bit of self-actualization there, and he realized that, you know what, I know I love winning, but just get the consistent points, get them on the board. There's quite a lot of points going for every race, and every race is weighted equally. So if you're finishing down in 20th, 25th, something like that, that's not good at all. You need to keep getting those consistent results, and that's what Jordan is doing. He's picking up P3s, P4s here and there, and he's put himself back in with a shout of winning this championship.
Yeah, interestingly as well, if you look at the timing table, no sign of Jason Smith yet in that. So I'm trying to see if I can see Jason Smith on the table at all.
He's here, yeah, he is here.
Yeah, okay. I see Jordan Kelly, Jason Cooper, Sean McClements, Wan Ji Lin. No, he's racing indeed, of course. So we saw earlier on, we saw him go toe to toe with Rona Doherty, and there he is on track. But in terms of putting in a lap time, We haven't seen him put in a huge lap time yet, and as you can see, it's almost a 2-minute lap time. So like time does tick away. We're over halfway point now with this qualifying session, so the time is ticking a little bit for Jason Smith to try and get a decent lap in.
Yeah, it is, and you got to get the lap on the board as quickly as you can, so then you can build from that. If you're not getting a banger time in, then you're kind of just leaving yourself short. But he's gone purple in the first 2 sectors, and he's going to come across the start-finish line now. As here he is, quickest. Look, what can you do when a man can do that under pressure? That's a great lap from Jason Smith to put himself quickest, but still plenty of time in qualifying to go, mind you, so that could easily be beaten across the board.
Yeah, it could easily, and I suspect it probably will as the fuel begins to run out. There isn't a huge tank on these Formula Ford 1600 machines. There's only 21 litres, 22 litres you can fit in the tank, so fuel does burn away pretty quickly, and we will be getting right to the end of that. It will be trying to make every single little bit count as we approach the end of this 15-minute track time. But we're here in the Snetterton 300 track. Let's give you a quick run over of what the drivers can expect to be facing this evening. Jordan Kelly, as ever, the man providing us with some of that footage. As I try and get it on my screen here myself. There's Ronan, as ever, Ronan Hederman doing superb work with the cameras as you head down the main straight now. And it's really a lot of the corners here at Snetterton are kind of suck you in to make you think that you only have to. They're always trying to suck you into an early apex. So as you can see, he's going down Montreal now. That's the big hairpin there. And then down to the left-hand side as you go down towards Palmer Curve. Palmer is trying to go as far to the right, short, medium brake. As you go then down the main straight, as you go towards Agostini. This is the second hairpin. Big braking marker between the boards 2 and 1 as you trail brake, meeting a middle to late apex, then heavy acceleration on the exit. You have a very good chance of running wide on that one as well. You have to be careful as you approach through Hamilton, trying to carry as much speed as you possibly can through Uggies now. Positive brake for this tight right hand turn. Use the flat curb on the inside of the corner, shorten the distance and get that apex. And you have Williams. This is a really, really tricky one because it goes on to the long straight as we head down the back here at Snetterton. So getting a good exit out of this is absolutely crucial. A little touch, I suspect, in these Formula Ford 1600 cars, but in higher classes or classes with more aero, you can take it flat. Now, Brundle and Nelson, these are very tricky corners. You're kind of braking all the way around from very high speed, so it's trying to make sure you don't over touch the brake and end up spinning yourself out like I did last week in the Sebring 6 hours. Bomb hole is corner number 10. You can do it flat out in some cars. I suspect in the Formula Fords, again, it would be tricky. Coram and Murray's really tricky, exciting ones here. Flat out going into the corner, and then a car's width on the inside line, 3/4, you're turning back around, and then the left-hand turn, which leads us back on to the pit straight. So again, very, very quick from Ronan Doherty, Jordan Kelly. But Evan, really one of those circuits that, like, you talk about the Williams corner, that's absolutely imperative to get right because you have that very long straight. We expect to see drafting down that main straight, and also an awful lot of corners where you're kind of dicing a little bit with the back end. You're hoping it won't step out as you try and trail brake through some of those very high aero corners.
Yeah, it's a difficult enough track, and there is some crucial corners, like you say, the Williams corner, the final corner of Murray's as well sticks out to me because very easy to go wide on the grass there and chuck yourself off on towards the grass patch on the right hand side, and look, then you're screwed really because it's the pit lane that's up next before you can get back on it. And it's a track where maybe it doesn't look like there's a lot of overtaking opportunities, but there will be, and these guys tend to make overtaking opportunities at any track and at any corner. You could stick a wheel up the inside in these ray racing machines. They're a great car for that sort of thing, but Jordan Kelly makes it look easy on the hot lap. It certainly isn't, and these drivers will maybe have a couple of challenging races here to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Kelly usually specializes in making things look harder than they actually should be, but when it comes to racing, he definitely makes things look an awful lot easier than they should be. As you see now, I think it's Ronan Doherty we're having a look at now, cascading down through the corners. He is currently in 4th position, so a bit of pressure on our championship leader to see if he can get in a good lap and get a little bit closer to the front of the grid. A reminder, we go 10 laps for Heat 1, 15 laps with the... Sorry, so we qualify for Heat 1, which is 10 laps. Then the result of race 1 sets the grid for race 2. That's 15 laps. Then the front 8 in race 2 gets swapped, and everybody else is as they are for race 3, which is 20 laps. Every race worth the same amount of points, regardless of how long they are. Drive-through penalties you see at 15x. I don't know if that'll come in here as much as it has in previous rounds. Oulton Park, it was a big issue in the race, and disqualification as well at 20x. If you're hitting 20x after a 10-minute race, then you probably should get disqualified. But yeah, as we approach the end of this qualifying session, Evan, have we any early contenders or anybody who you think might be looking sharp? Dylan McClements there in 2nd place. He's absolutely flying.
Yeah, the usual suspects are up near the top, Jason Smith, Jordan Kelly, but Dylan McClements seems to be emerging as a little bit of a qualifying guru. He's always up there in qualifying, maybe sometimes falls back in the races a little bit. Took a pole position this season, of course, in Donington Park. And yeah, doing a stellar job here as well to stay 2nd. Huanji Lin having a very good qualifying as well. He's up to 7th position, as is Rory O'Shea and Conor Melliot just behind him. But there is some big lap times going in. Jason Smith currently on the pole. McGoldrick just improving there as well. But we've got only about 20 or 20 seconds or so to go. So it's get your lap in now or you won't get it in at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these guys, the boat will have already passed. I'm keeping a keen eye on Chan. He looks like he could be, he was yellow in the middle sector, but he's green through the other sectors. And with a 157, we'll see who's barreling through here now, because there's not too many will actually make the timing here. Is that Jason Cooper, I think, we're seeing in the background? He might have an opportunity to get better time on the list. He crosses the line. And he does better his time. He goes ahead indeed of Ronan Doherty just before qualifying session. He timed that to absolute perfection, did Jason Cooper. That tree on the right looks like a gorilla. And Evan, you have the qualifying results.
Yeah, it's Jason Smith who's on pole position ahead of Dylan McClements. Then it is Jordan Kelly, Jason Cooper, Ronan Doherty, Sean McClements, Huanji Lin, Sean McGoldrick, Conor Melliot, and Rory O'Shea. Big qualifying in the end, or big lap, I should say, for Jason Cooper to just get ahead of Ronan Doherty. We look a little bit further down the order, then Chris Knox down in 11th, Tony Stack, Lawrence de Soswa up in 13th. Usually better in the races than qualifying, so positive there for Lawrence. Then it's Wing Fei Chan. Then we do have Kevin Joyce, Peter McCann, Jamal Gandor, Dermot Toomey, David Prunty, and Gary Corcoran rounding out the top 10. Very interesting qualifying though, Kevin. A little bit of a mix-up in the grid. Chris Knox maybe a little bit further down than we expected, but then you have some good performers like Lawrence who are up there near the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, Hans Mollet isn't able to make it this evening. He's doing military service or his girlfriend's birthday. I'm not entirely sure. Some people might say they're one and the same. I wouldn't. But he isn't here tonight. So he's one who we normally see towards the front of the grid that isn't racing tonight. So that will be interesting to see how that all works out. It's not long before we go green, though, Evan. Here we go.
Yeah, we're on the grid for the first race at Snetterton. Turn number 1 of Riches is a very difficult one. Drivers maybe not going to look to go too wide in towards that one, but big braking zone of Montreal for the hairpin is where these guys will be looking to get the jump on those in front. We are just sat on the grid here. It's maybe a little bit more of a longer run than some tracks, certainly like Okayama last week, and maybe even a little bit longer than Donington Park as well. Of course, it is a 5.779 kilometre circuit, or 3 miles give or take. As here we go, we have the lights on our screen now. 2, 3, 4. Here's 5 red lights for the first race of the evening. And now we go racing here at Snetterton. That's a great launch from the 3rd place man, Jordan Kelly. He might look to get a wheel up the inside, maybe in towards the first corner. Dylan McClements already having to take a defensive line. Jason Smith's got away well and will lead us in towards the first corner, but Kelly is on the inside of Dylan McClements. McClements is lost out there. Ronan Doherty as well, looking to get past Jason Cooper here, and they're working in the slipstream nicely to try get the braking in towards Montreal. Big lunge in the background. That's Ronan Doherty risking it all up the inside. McClements has to run a little bit wide. McClements not the best start. He's already down 2 positions. The 2 Irishmen of Jordan Kelly and Ronan Doherty getting the jump on the inside. Fairly clean start, however, but a little bit of movement around the grid. Jamal Gandor getting a position or 2 as well, as is Lawrence de Salzwa.
Yeah, poor Corcoran, Gary Corcoran there has just spun out on the exit of turn 1, and he was very lucky not to clean out others in the grid behind, but very clean up front. Jason Smith, Jordan Kelly, Ronan Doherty. What can I say? Are we surprised to see those 3 names at the front of the timing sheet? And Jordan again finds himself in the kind of sandwich between those 3. Ronan Doherty, there's a little bit of a gap between himself and Dylan McClement, so he's hoping that if they can kind of make that gap, then Dylan might end up being the kind of moving roadblock for Jason Cooper behind, that might suck him into a little bit more pressure from behind, which will allow Ronan, Jordan and Jason to try and make it a 3-way fight for lead. As we see now that slipstream as we expected going down the main straight, Jason Cooper going down the inside, but Dylan is making him work every little bit for it, and he takes the inside for the next corner as they come around this twisty and tight section. This is very close between those 2. Jason taking the inside line and getting the move done eventually, but Dylan making work every step of the way, Evan.
Yeah, Dylan makes the drivers work for their overtakes. He doesn't let anyone through, regardless of a championship position. Dylan McClements as well in the top 10 in the championship, which is a very good performance by his standards. So he's going to look to try keep that as well. As that's actually Juan G. Lin who's dropping down the order. Disappointing there for Lin. But here we go. This is Jordan Kelly looking for the race lead on Jason Smith. First lap has been completed, one of the longer ones of the season, as Kevin was alluding to earlier. Is Jordan Kelly going to try a last of the late breakers type move in towards the hairpin now? I think he's just a little bit too far back for now. Still early on in this race, but remember, it is our shortest of the 3, so drivers tend to get a hurry on a little bit earlier. Whether that's for the better or not, that's each their own to decide. But looking at Conor Melliott as well, not a strong performance from him so far, but we don't want to speak too early because we know how quickly everything can go wrong here in RTA.
Yeah, massively. And you see there the move potentially down the inside. I think that could be Sean McClements on his brother Dylan. Yes, it is. I think Sean's going to get that move done as the 2 McClennans overtake each other. That's some great racing between those 2 and between those 3 up front, as we can see. And I wonder, as you say, the longer laps, I don't know, does it give guys a sense that they have a bit more time in the lap, that they're... Because when we looked at Okayama last week, was that Jordan Kelly making a little bit of a slip and slide on the inside, and that'll invite Ronan Doherty to overtake him. And I think Ronan would have been quite happy behind Kelly, but I think with that mistake, Kelly is, and it's a bad place for Kelly to make it as well, because you're coming down that long straight. But it looks like he's actually going to slip in. Oh no, he's going to stay ahead of Ronan Doherty. So good work there from Jordan Kelly to not only recover from the mistake, but also manage to stay ahead of Doherty. Those guys, we saw them working together more than against each other last week in Okayama. I wonder, have they decided to keep that strategy going? But with Jason Smith very much in with a shout of winning this championship, it will be interesting to see whether they decide to leave Jason go, or whether they decide that they're actually going to try and push him a little bit.
Yeah, interesting tactics there. I think you could be spot on that they are working together a little bit. Maybe Ronan feels Jordan might be a little bit quicker here. I'll tag on behind him and sneak my way through when the time is right. Of course, Jordan was saying to us last week in the interview, absolutely loves it round here. We saw in his hot lap on the show, and we saw in qualifying as well, that he drives quite quick around here as well. So maybe Ronan just thinking long run, thinking, all right, my best opportunity in this race if I stick behind Jordan for at least the next 2 or 3 minutes. But looking a little bit further down the field, this is Lawrence de Salzwa and Tony Stack having a bit of a battle. Oh, that's a car gone round there. That is 2 cars gone round, actually. A little bit of synchronised spinning there in the midfield. Is that Juan G. Lin who's gone round? I think it might be.
I'm just trying to see. I think it could be Jamal Gandor and potentially Kevin Joyce. I'm not entirely sure. They look like the 2 that were coming down the timing table. But unfortunate for the Lebanese native Gandor, who has a huge amount of experience. We're talking about it recently in the world of sim racing. There's another collision there. That's Dave Collier and Finlay Melvin coming together. Melvin just managed to keep it back on track, and Collier slotting now back in behind Gandor. So these guys, there's plenty of contact between them, and it's a little bit frisky there. So this will be interesting to keep an eye on. Obviously, we're often spending time looking at the likes of Smith, Kelly, Doherty, etc. But everyone going into this championship has their own ambition. Whether you're Eric Cunyer and it's just about trying to race as many races as you can, or if you're the likes of Jordan Kelly and you come into it trying to defend what is essentially a real life title against some of the guys who you would be battling on track. So everybody has a different ambition in this league, and there's a huge breadth of experience, which really leads to some fascinating racing. As we're well into this 1600 championship, and I know not everybody loves these cars to drive on iRacing. I know guys find it tricky, but for those who really love and are used to, I suppose, what would you say, they're drivers' cars, if you know what I mean. They're for people who are really skilled. So for people who like ABS and TC and the kind of safe GT3s, maybe not their cup of tea, but for guys who really love their racing and thrive on racing on the edge, these Ray Racing Formula Ford 1600 cars are just absolutely the berries.
Yeah, and you have to remember as well, some of these guys drive cars very similar to this in a real life scenario. Of course, Jordan Kelly would drive something maybe a little bit quicker than this, and then you have all the Mondello lads and the V's and in the Formula Shanes and stuff as well. But just what you were saying actually, Kevin, there about people having different ambitions. Dave Collier's ambition, I think, right now would be to just survive, because he's second in the B Championship, and he is currently getting a little bit of a points haul over Damien McMullen here this evening, so he'd like to keep that. And probably just about keeping his car pointed in the right direction, not picking up any damage and having to spend some time in the pits. But the battle up the front is close as ever. It's still Smith, Kelly and Doherty who are the front three, but Jordan Kelly looking right behind Jason Smith and maybe looking to take the race lead. We saw Kelly maybe leave moves to the last lap last week, and then they didn't necessarily work. I wonder, is there going to be a bit of a change of an approach here from Jordan? I'll be interested to see that.
Yeah, and I think this might be the white flag lap. I suppose we'll have to see how long it takes them to come back around. We have 30 seconds now to finish this lap. They might just get in for another one, which gives you an indication of how long these laps are here at the Snetterton 300 track. Of course, racing the full track. And yeah, these are very, very close. These three are very close, but I suppose the longer and the more you race together, and as the weeks go on, guys get more comfortable with the car and more comfortable with what they'll have in the car. We're just going to, I think we might just get another lap, and I think we will, just about by the skin of our teeth, get another lap in. So this should be the white flag lap, unless there is a big incident and the leaders end up getting slowed down majorly. But they get more used to where they can be and where they need to be. So then you see that kind of confidence comes out, and then those guys feel like they can race closer without necessarily coming together.
Yeah, and they learn the traits of the other drivers as well. They know what type of corner the other drivers are quick in, as we see Lawrence de Sosra get the job done on Tony Stack. It looks like Peter McCann might be trying to follow Lawrence through as well. Not quite able to get it done in towards the Palmer left-hander. But yeah, they get more comfortable with each other as well. And Jordan will know, right, Jason's quick through here, he defends like this, he attacks like this. And they'll begin to learn about the other drivers, and I think that's one key thing to note. That might be one thing Jordan's thinking of. He knows, right, Jason's going to defend this really hard. There's no point risking my front two wheels by sticking them up the inside. That was one thing we saw happen to poor Jason Smith in Donington. He completely lost his front right wheel as a bit of grass chucked over the front there of the third place man, Ronan Doherty. But as you said, Kevin, I think we're going to have one more lap after this, just about, and we should see these three go scrapping further. We might maybe a little bit earlier, as is Jordan Kelly going to go for this one? No, they'll stay line astern into the left-hander this time round.
Yeah, I just saw a puff of smoke in the background. I think that was Aaron Dalton and Jamal Gondor again involved in incidents further back this track. But looking at some other guys, you've like Sean and Dylan McClemens, both in the top six. And then again, Conor Melia, Rory O'Shea, and Sean McGoldrick. They all had very strong results in the last race in Okayama. So they seem to be really getting to grips with not just the actual racing and the lap times, but also crucially the racecraft, as Jordan Kelly is tied on, or Ronan Doherty is tied onto the back of Jordan Kelly's number number 99 machine in second place as we just crossed the lap. I mean, we literally had about a second to spare. So
about 2
we are getting
seconds.
absolutely everything on. That's Dylan McClement's big incident there. Rory O'Shea and Dylan McClement's involved in that one. McClements is going to drive away. Rory O'Shea is the big bruiser, and there's a few going through there very tight. Lawrence DeSaz was leading that train. Peter McCann, Tony Stack in that one as well. And a great opportunity for DeSaz now. He's up to 8th position. Lawrence is up 5 places in this race. A brilliant result. Peter McCann up 7 as well. So as you said, Evan, Lawrence generally tends to race better than he qualifies.
Yeah, and what's the worst thing you want to see when you're about to go 4 wide? Probably 2 cars parked on the side of the circuit. But look at Jordan Kelly. He's hounding down Jason Smith and looking to take the race win here. He's a winner at heart and wants to win again here in the RTA Championship into a set of double right-handers and then up through the Williams Bend. Very important corner, as Kevin was saying. Who's going to nail it the better of the two? Fairly even maybe, but remember, Jordan Kelly has that big slipstream advantage. Weaving they go down the straight. Jason Smith trying to break that toe as much as possible, but it's not really going to work as Jordan Kelly is on the inside here, heading in towards the left-hander at Brundle down the Bentley straight. Is Jordan Kelly going to be able to hold this? Because then he crucially has the outside line for this next right-hander. Very cleverly played by Jason Smith. But there's a bit of a nudge between the pair. They'll stay side by side in towards these final couple of corners. Ronan Doherty maybe going to look to capitalise on these two having a bit of an incident. 2 more corners to go. This left-hander at turn number 11, and then it's a quick flick, or right-hander I should say, then it's a quick flick to the left here through turn number 12. It's going to be a slipstream to the line maybe for Jordan Kelly. It looks like Smith's got out of the corner slightly better, but it's a long run to the checkered flag. But Jason Smith will take the first win here at race number 1. That was a cracking battle between the pair, fairly clean as well. You see Jordan maybe with a little bit of a celebratory weave. Jason Cooper actually losing 4th space on the last lap to Sean McClements as well. That's big points lost in the championship.
Yeah, big swing there. Chapeau, Jason Smith, for managing to get that over the line. I have flashbacks to Donington Park when he got taken out by Jason Cooper as a kind of coming across the back and the two of them coming together. But just about Jason Smith managing to stay out of trouble there. But superb effort from Jordan Kelly. Really gave it absolutely everything. As we see Dave Collier finished 18th, so only 2 places ahead of Damien McMullen. So what looked like it could have been a big win for Collier in the B Championship. We see McMullen making back a good few places as well, so not a huge difference between them. Again, Conor Melia finishing in 7th. Let's just have a look at some of the biggest shakers. As we say, Lawrence DeSaz up 5. Finlay Melvin started in P27. He finished in 17th position. Damien McMullen, our B Championship leader, starting 25th, up 5 places to 20. So some good results there for those guys. As we see, Ercunier classed the line as well in the 25 Feck Cancer livery, sponsored by, in association with, thanks to our partners at Potato Nation Car. So that is the end of Heat 1. An absolutely fascinating one. Another really, really good battle. We see similar names up the top. Evan, I'll leave you go through the classified and we can have a quick chat about what it means now as we go into race 2.
Yeah, so your top 12, is that 12? Yeah, it is 12 on the screen. It's Jason Smith, ahead of Jordan Kelly and Ronan Doherty. Then it's Sean McClements, Jason Cooper, Sean McGoldrick, Conor Melia, Lawrence DeSoswa. Then it is Tony Stack and Winfrey Chan. That's your top 10. Chris Knox started 11th, stays 11th, ahead of Juan Chi Lin and Rory O'Shea, who were involved in a couple of incidents in that race. Then it's Peter McCann, Kevin Joyce, Dylan McClements, Finlay Melvin, then Dave Collier in 18th position. Then I believe in 19th it was Damien McMullen, and then it was Prunty, Tooney, Corcoran. Then it was Gerard Thornton who comes in 23rd. But a little bit of movement and shaking in that race, Kevin. A lot more overtaking maybe than I thought there would be. Oh, hold on. We're going straight away for race 2. There's no rest for the wicked here in the RTA Championship because Jason Smith has to lead us once again as we go racing here in Snetterton. Great launch from Ronan Doherty in 30s, right up behind Jordan Kelly in towards turn number 1. Kelly was the man making the moves at the start of the opening race of the evening. Ronan Doherty not quite close enough to the car in front of him. There's a move there in the background from Juan Chi Lin, getting past Wing Fei Chan in the background as well. Is Ronan Doherty close enough maybe in towards turn number 3? No, he isn't. Jason Cooper has to take a defensive line from Sean McGoldrick. McGoldrick with good pace here this evening, it seems, and he's looking to challenge one of our championship protagonists, but all safely through the first couple of corners, Kevin.
Yeah, all safety through the first couple of corners. It was just before we were hoping to go green. I wanted to say it to shout out to John McDonald in the chat here on Gantry TV. He says, watching the in-room movies ago again, but paused them to watch you lads, far more arousing. And I think if there's nothing more arousing for a motorsport fan than the end of race number 1. But Jason Smith already with quite a substantial gap there. The gap is now almost 0.4 of a second. And we've seen him lead from pillar to post before. This could be a sort of a race, and this could be an app. Oh, there's Sean McGoldrick and Conor Melia going down. You were just talking about McGoldrick's pace. Unfortunately, you put the kiss of death on him again, Evan.
Yeah, that's what I've become known for, maybe just giving commentators curses. I believe we're going to have a replay here of this incident. Let's have a look then, shall we? So this is McGoldrick, who is involved in the incident. This is just heading up, I believe, to the left-hander of Hamilton. And then in towards the right-handers we see here. Is it just too late in the brakes? So yeah. It is. Yep, there's going to be one man who is given the blame for that one. And unfortunately, it is not Sean McGoldrick.
Yeah, and a second one for good measure as well on the way back around. So he got hit from behind, then hit from the front, unfortunately, Conor Melia, which is a pity for him. But look at that now. I was just talking about that gap with Jason Smith. He could have made a mistake because now they're piled. You literally have the top five in this race all within a hair's breadth of each other, as Ronan Doherty now goes for a move on Jason Smith, or Jordan Kelly, and he's going to make for a move on Jason Smith. Can he get it done around the outside? They're 3 wide going into turn 1, and they managed to make it stick. It's like something out of Pulp Fiction with the 3 of them going 3 wide into the first corner, as you see Jordan Kelly going back now on Ronan Doherty, and all bets are off now between those two. They were working together, certainly not now, as they just fall back into line. And behind them, Sean McClemens will be hoping that there could be one almighty crash to take all 3 of them out, and he can just glide through. As you see the speed difference there, and you kind of have to check up, but then you also leave yourself open to behind as we go down this short straight down the left-hand turn. Oh, this is really, really close stuff. I'm not going to say anything more. I don't want to put the kibosh on it, but there's a lot of cars in a very close space on a tight track. That's all I'd say.
The fact we still have 5 of them after 3 wide in towards turn number 1 is impressive, and that is a feat at that. But can they maybe even top that? We'll wait and see. For the right-hander of Williams and on towards the longest straight on the circuit. Bit of weaving maybe from Jason Smith. He's not deploying the ultimate weaving tactics too early like we saw the last race round. This one's slightly longer, of course, so the drivers have a little bit more time to make their mind up. But the top 4 here in the championship, all within what? Maybe a second, give or take here? This is crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad. This is the racing you do get in RTA, and this is the racing you get with these Formula Ford 1600 cars as well. Gavin Ray still very much at the forefront of it, and he's been a big help to this series. It's an absolutely super car, and we're delighted to have them on board because you just see the racing here that happens. Ronan Doherty making a slight mistake. They're going over the inside of the apex, but managing to recover as Jordan Kelly sniffing there again. Now will we see that move again going into turn 1? It looks like Ronan's blocking off Jordan slightly from going down the outside. I thought Jordan might make a bit of a run there, but didn't quite have the speed difference as you see it here from the T-Cam on Sean McClemens' number 3 car. It is my favourite number personally. That is an absolutely great view of what's unfolding in front. Look at that, all 5 cars within a single camera lens shot and the vast majority of these, as you say, have been involved in the championship. So you really are playing with fire here if you have championship ambitions.
Yeah, and the thing with Sean McClemens as well here is he's not too far off. If something was to go pear-shaped for these guys at the front and he was maybe to get a win or a podium or something, he's well back in it and we could have an even larger championship fight. So he's just biding his time behind there. And just look how close even the pack behind is. You've Knox, Lynn, DeSoswa, O'Shea all in that. They're having an equally good battle here behind. So I have 2 eyes, Kevin has 2 eyes. We'll try to keep a best look at all the moves, but there is a lot of movement around the field, and maybe I'm going to speak a little bit too early here, but dare I say this is the cleanest week so far.
Yeah, the driver's doing a superb job thus far.
Yeah, I
I
say
don't
that
know if
with
you hear me knocking on wood
optimism.
there, but yeah, it's uh, it's very very clean. Just looking at Damien McMullen, he's gone down to 18th place now. He's just overtaken by Dylan McClements, who was involved in that early incident. Dave Collier again ahead of him by 2 places. Now we'll have a look at the B Championship maybe in the interval just to see how much of a gap is between those guys. But Dave has made up a little bit of space on David McMullen as it stands in the B Championship. So that's getting increasingly close. But I think when it comes to the top boys, very, very rarely ever see in a race the top guys going toe to toe. Whereas in this championship, it's every single race, not even every week, every race we see these guys going toe to toe. It's just sensational, the racing.
Imagine showing this to a Formula 1 fan. They'd be losing their minds. But this is what we've come to expect. But although even saying that, we're almost reaching a peak here with 5 cars going this close. Although they're not making moves. We need a bit more overtaking, please, gentlemen. I say that, though, as that is asking for too much.
Where DRS?
Yeah. Burn your EOS deployment system. Use it all up. Make the move. No, these are... I don't want to sound like a F1 hater here, but these are proper racing machines that you get sideways in the corners and you can still get a good exit on the way out. A little bit further back, we'll take a look. This is Sean McGoldrick on the back of Lawrence de Soswa, 2 drivers having a good evening and making a good account of themselves for the time. Soswa in 9th, McGoldrick in 10th, and Tony Stack just behind in the fellow Jordan livery. Don't think I've gone 1 week without mentioning the fact they are driving Jordans, but sure, look, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I know. So on one hand, he slags off F1, and then on the other, to a former F1 team. Are you an F1 hater or an F1 lover? I mean, Chris McCann needs to know for the headlines tomorrow morning, so you better make sure you get them together.
Well, that's what I think I have, to be brutally honest.
Peter McCann, my apologies. I always get that wrong.
Speaking of Lawrence as well, he was actually rather happy last week to not make the Wednesday morning paper. Says he goes for a move on the inside. Oh, bit of wheel banging between the two. This could allow Tony Stack to go up the inside, but no joy there for Tony.
No, good work from Tony there because he kind of read that a little bit. That's experience. Lawrence just kissing the sausage curb on the inside there, and that's the thing about these 1600 cars. They don't. You see the TCR cars, they can kind of ride those sausage curbs a little bit better. You can see more aggressive lines, but when you're in these Formula Fords, they're so light. I mean, what do they even weigh? I have to look at my notes here now, but they only weigh 504 kilograms. So like you hit it, very light on fuel as well. So you hit a sausage curb there, you have a great chance of ending up on your roof. But still in all, despite the fact that these guys have been, as you say, line and stern, Evan, for the last couple of laps, still no changes up front. This is just, it's almost like, those trains you used to get as a kid that used to be attached by string, and you'd kind of roll them around the carpet, or maybe that's something that those little wooden trains that you could get, they were attached by a piece of string. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Like they're literally separated, just snaking around each other. It's like being on an old Nokia phone. It's just incredible how close and how clean these guys are keeping it.
Evan, giving the ultimate nostalgia trip to anyone who used to have snake or trains with string or something on it. I don't know. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, just hearing about it. Oh, actually, sorry. We'll get off this tangent as Ronan Doherty has just ran completely wide, heading through turn number 7. Now Jordan Kelly maybe get a move up the inside, heading in towards here. He's got that job done because now he'll be able to brake later on that inside line. A little bit more grip through there and then flicking it in towards turn number 9. That is job complete for Jordan Kelly. Rare mistake from Doherty there to lose the position.
Yeah, very rare mistake. And you wonder if you're in Jason Smith's position, would you rather see Jordan Kelly or Ronan Doherty in your mirrors? Because obviously Doherty's championship leader at the moment and it's exceptionally strong, but Jordan has so much experience and loves this track in particular. So interested to see, will Jordan be able to get, I mean, Ronan was right on Jason Smith's bumper without being able to make a move. Will Jordan find that little extra bit? But now we see Ronan Doherty going around the outside, just sneaking into your picture there. They go too wide. Looks like Jordan's going to fend him off for the moment, but this certainly isn't the last we've heard of Ronan Doherty. He tries to move around the outside again and to cover him off, push him out wide. covers the inside line. Oh, superb stuff from these guys. But Ronan isn't done, Evan. He is certainly going to go back at it again.
Like Jaws, just sneaking up on Jordan Kelly there. Kelly was running his own race, and then all of a sudden, there's Ronan Doherty again round the outside. But this is cracking stuff. But unfortunately, it has to end soon. The end of the race is in close proximity, and these guys maybe have to start thinking about where they want to finish this race and where they're going to make the overtakes to end up in that position. Because I can't imagine if you're in a battle like this, your goal is to finish second. You want to win this race, and that's certainly Jordan Kelly's mindset. Because as much as we're saying he needs to pick up consistent points, he is behind Jason Smith in the championship, and Jason Smith outscored him in the first race and looking to outscore him in the second race here as they head through turn number 7 once again. 0.3 of a second separates them up the front.
Yeah, it's 0.3 of a second. It's incredible. I thought you were going to mention Dracula and I was going to make a joke about garlic bread, but we'll leave that for another time. With Jason Cooper is at the back of that train, but again, Sean McClement sticking in there. I mean, these guys are like, no disrespect to Sean in any way, because he is one of the faster drivers on the grid, but like, you look at Jason Smith, Jordan Kelly, Ronan Doherty, the experience that these guys have, both in sim and in real life, and you know, all of the years that they have of driving these cars and different kinds of Formula Juniors and different types of track, and the amount of time they spent in Mondello, which are very similar to a lot of the tracks that we see here in the UK, especially in the north of the UK, and yet Sean is sticking with them every single kilometer of the way. It's so impressive from the young man.
Yeah, and in notes, or in his little bit of an introduction he gave to us here at Gantry TV, he said he was introduced to iRacing by Ronan, so it's almost a little bit a case of master versus apprentice maybe. Not too sure how Sean would feel about me calling him an apprentice to Ronan Doherty, but look, that's a conversation for after the race. But a little bit of running wide, a little bit of dirt picked up by one of the 5, as just one more quick look behind Juan G. Lin in 6th, having a very strong race as well. He's 1.5 seconds ahead of Sean McGoldrick and looking like he's going to be able to bring that one home. So just a quick shout out to Lin, who's having an impressive drive here.
Yeah, superb stuff from Juan Chi Lin. He's actually kind of one of those guys who, it's funny because we have the Jason Smith, Jordan Kelly, Ronan Doherty, Jason Cooper, Chris Knox kind of guys, and then you have the likes of, you see Wing Fei Chan, Wan Chi Lin, Rory O'Shea, Lawrence de Soswa, Peter McCann, Tony Stack. They have their own almost separate kind of, like, if you want to call it like A- championship maybe, where like they're not necessarily as quick as the boys you see in your screen right now weaving down the main straight, but certainly they have a huge amount of pace. We see Jordan Kelly now. Oh, that was very, very tight between Kelly and Smith, but I think Kelly's going to get the inside for this corner, but Jason Smith's going to stick in there for the next one, and oh, it's very tight, but I think Jason Smith will hold on to it just about.
Wow. Jordan Kelly praying to the gods of netcode that nothing happened through there, because he would have been a sitting duck if there was a bit of netcode between there. He was rubbing right up to the side of Jason Smith's front left wheel, and now he's going to go again. That was the same move he tried in race number 1. I wonder, is he maybe just trying to throw Jason Smith off the scent, because he's going for it now in towards turn number 1. This is a move he has done before and did it in the first race on the opening lap. Here comes Jordan Kelly trying it around the outside. Oh, Jason Smith way more committed on the brakes later than Jordan Kelly. Has Kelly got the run though? Ronan Doherty looking to get involved in this one as well, as is Sean McClements, who's made his way up onto the podium. They're 2x2 in towards turn number 2 here in Montreal. Jordan Kelly still keeping the car in now. Crucially, he has the inside line for this corner, the first inside line he's had since turn number 9. Jordan Kelly, he's had to wait.
Oh, Ronan Doherty off.
Oh, that's championship leader Ronan Doherty, who's gone off in the background. That is crucial points lost for him. Hopefully he can get it back on the road for his sake and still pick up something in this race, which I believe he has. He's back in 5th position. But while we're talking about that, Jason Smith's retaking the lead here.
Oh, this is absolutely incredible stuff. We're going to have to look at a replay here, because we thankfully have a little bit of a longer lap we can do. You see them piling in there. There's Ronan Doherty on the outside. Look at that car, second on he's battling with Sean McClements. He goes in, McClements goes, and a little bit of a touch there. And again, very similar to the incident. He didn't hit the barrier though, Ronan Doherty, and got it on track pretty quickly. So he only loses really 2 positions in that, which is quite fortunate.
Very lucky.
Very lucky indeed. But again, it's it's like that kind of neck Cody sort of thing where they kind of come together, and I suppose in real life you might see them slightly bounce off each other. Unfortunately, here they get hooked.
Jason Cooper's in second. Jordan Kelly's down in sixth. So something's happened there with Jordan Kelly.
And Wan Chi Lin up to fifth. So after all the talk of the top five, Wan Chi Lin sneaks in at the last minute. I'm just not sure if Jason's going to cross the line. We'll have a very, very quick look at this incident. There's Jordan Kelly at the back of Jason Smith, and Kelly goes in, and again, little touch sees him round, just the tiniest of touches, and Jordan Kelly is back out. But again, didn't hit the barrier, managed to make up a place. But there you see Ronan Doherty and Wan Chi Lin go around the outside, so lost a few more places, unfortunately, as we see Jason Smith now crossing the line, and he wins an absolutely action-packed race number 2. We had such clean racing for so long, Evan. And then right in the last lap, it all kind of went to hell in the handcart.
Yeah, it was the calm before the storm, maybe, and then it all just kicked off. But Wan Chi Lin, a big beneficiary of Ronan Doherty and Jordan Kelly's misfortune. He's picked up fifth there. It was still behind Doherty, unfortunately, but because there was such a big gap, Doherty and Kelly maybe have not lost as much as they might have in other weeks where the whole pack is close together. But Jason Smith doing the business, and he's taken 2 wins from 2 here this evening. That's exactly what he needed if he wants to continue his strong championship form.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to notice in the B Championship as well, Dave Collier must have had an incident as well. He was 2 places ahead of Damien McMullen, but dropped out to P24, McMullen finishing 17th. So another strong showing for Damien McMullen in that one. And whatever amount of points he lost in race 1, he certainly would have won them back and more in race 2, as we watch Collier now crossing the line in the number 8 Turn 3 Motorsport Statoil sponsored car. Let's have a look at some of our classified results. I'll leave you go through them, Evan, and then we can have a bit of a chat. We hopefully have a few people to chat with as well.
Yeah, as we will have your results on screen in a moment, but we can see them just there briefly on the left-hand side. Jason Smith, of course, taking the race win and just defending from the pack for as long as he can. Another impressive performance by Jason Smith. Jason Cooper then in second position. That's a 1-2 we've seen a few times this season. And then Sean McClements picking up a big podium place in third, gaining a spot and taking that third place off Ronan Doherty, who was in fourth. Wan Chi Lin then in fifth position, gaining 7 spots in that race. An impressive run for him. Jordan Kelly in sixth, with Sean McGoldrick in seventh. Rory O'Shea as well, and the gainer in that race, finishing in eighth. And then Chris Knox finishing in ninth, which I believe means that it will be Rory O'Shea who starts from pole in the third race. So good stuff there for Rory. Lawrence de Soswa finishing in 10th, with Tony Stack in 11th. Then it was Wing-Fei Chan, Peter McCann, Dylan McClements and Connor Melia. Then it was David Freeman, Damien McMullen, your B Championship leader. Then it was David Prunty, Philip Upson, Jamal Gandor. Then it was Gary Corcoran and Aaron Dalton. That's the top 22. Once again, a little bit changed from the first race, but it was your same winner as the opener.
Yeah, Jason Smith, hopefully he'll join us in the commentary booth there now for a quick chat with yourself, Evan. Be interested to see what his thoughts are now, because he's very much back in with the championship fight, having had a bad week last week. Evan, I'll leave you in the capable hands of yourself and Jason Smith. But what a result it was for Jason's first 2 races.
Yeah, Jason, a little bit of a defensive masterclass in that one. You had 4 of RTA's top drivers literally within a second of you for the good part of that race, but how did you manage to hold on to win that one?
Well, it was just about not making any mistakes, and I know Jordan and Ronan and all the lads behind it give us enough room so we didn't crash, but it was just class racing. Jordan making a 3 wide into the first corner, we were millimeters away from hitting each other. I was laughing so much when I was racing. Tears were coming out of my eyes.
Of course, you won the first race, won the second race. Dare I say you might have a good chance of winning the third?
Yeah, definitely. I know I'm always good in the first lap, and hopefully I can do the same like I do in the other reverse grids, and hopefully stay out of trouble and get onto the lead pack.
Now, Kevin was wondering during that race, and I'm going to ask the question here so we can get an answer. If you're Jason Smith, would you rather Ronan Doherty or Jordan Kelly behind you at Snetterton?
I couldn't tell you that. Maybe Jordan, because he wouldn't hit me. Maybe Ronan. If I done a little check up and just slow it down mid corner, Ronan would go straight through me. But Jordan would be a bit tentative. But sure, that's the way
Oh,
racing is. And it's just
oh,
class being in this.
yeah, it's fantastic to watch as well. I hope I haven't landed you in it too much there, Jason. And yeah, best of luck for race 3. We're certainly look forward to it, and hopefully you are as well.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Should be a good bit of fun.
Yeah, good to hear it from Jason there. And the question Kevin had, fine. Well, it didn't get answered, did it? He didn't give an answer.
Well, he
So.
kind of did, didn't he? He basically said that if Ronan Doherty's behind you, he's gonna send you into next week. So maybe it's better.
He suggested one, maybe.
Not the most diplomatic of answers, but we'll get Jason Cooper and Sean McClements in to have a chat with us about their races before we get on to race 3. Just chatting to Jason Smith there. Jason, he was like, you could actually hear how much he was buzzing off the racing there. I mean, it was just exceptional, wasn't it, that race?
Yeah, the race in front of me, yeah, they were 3 wide into turn 1 on that start of that second lap. That was pretty mental. Well done for them all sticking on the track.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, yourself, it was a second place finish. You're staying in there. You're not out of the running yet. I know it was a bit of a disappointing week last week for you, but like, it's a long championship, plenty of time to go.
Yeah. I got to thank Chris for waking me up because I was asleep for about 2 minutes before qualifying started. So luckily I made it in.
Brilliant. Sean's just ducked out there. We might get him back in because I'd like to have a chat with him because he's another guy who's a little bit undercooked for this one. Sean, we were chatting the other day. You took the time out of doing some actual work to have a chat with me while I was flying fake airplanes. You said you hadn't really had a look at this track until yesterday, and yet third place finish.
Yeah, I'm just happy like that I could stay with the lads in the tow. Like I think I'm down a bit in pace, without the tow. So if I'm able to get the tow, I think I'm happy enough for race 3.
I suppose it made up for the fact you had to be in school in the bank while the rest of us were on a bank holiday.
Yeah, well, it also helps. Like it also helps.
No, look, ambitions, I suppose. Look, you're starting now with the reverse grid a little bit behind, but like, there's so many chances in these final races to make up places in the early laps. So give you a great boost of confidence, especially after that battling in the opening or race 2.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when the lads are going 3 and 4 wide in the corners, like so. It should be good crack.
Brilliant, Sean. I won't leave you any longer because we're ready to grid up now for race 3 of the Formula Ford 1600 series. Thanks again to Ray Racing for their continued support of the championship. An absolutely superb car. You can just see what good racing it brings as we get ourselves geared up for race number 3 here at Snetterton 300.
Yeah, it's a fabulous car and track combo, and that's what we've seen here this evening. Of course, we can't thank Gavin Ray and the Ray Racing crew enough for providing us with this brilliant piece of machinery. But Rory O'Shea on pole position here. Dare I say his first time starting first this season. It is, of course, from the reverse grid, but he's going to look to keep that heading through this 20-minute feature race. We've got 5 red lights on the grid, and we go racing for the third and final time here at Snetterton. Great start for Juan G. Lin there. Great start for Ronan Doherty as well. Maybe not so much for Jason Cooper and Sean McGoldrick, who's already up to the race lead. Rory O'Shea not necessarily getting the launch he would have wanted in that high pre car, and Jordan Kelly is right on his tail. Jordan, if he can get to the front early on, usually goes on to win a race. That's what he likes to do. Doesn't like to be stuck behind cars such as Jason Smith or Ronan Doherty, so he's trying to get through the field as early as possible here. Jason Cooper getting past Jason Smith as well. Juan G. Lin up the inside there of Ronan Doherty. Great move for Juan G. Lin to get the job done. This is the corner, of course, where it all went wrong for Doherty in his race win endeavours in race number 2, but there's still 2 abreast here. Jordan Kelly looking to take the race lead early on in that number 99 blue machine. On the inside of Sean McGoldrick, he leads the race.
Yeah, Sean McGoldrick, what a great start for him in that one, to be up near the top. And thanks to everyone in on YouTube as well with their comments. Ronan says, seriously close racing, fantastic coverage, lads. John McDonald says, last lap was epic in race 1. And he says, that is something else in terms of the racing. If you just clicked into Gantry TV are wondering what superb racing this is the RTA Virtual Motorsport Formula Ford 1600 Series. And if you want to have a comment, have a chat with us over the course of the race, subscribe, and of course, really give us a thumb up, because if not for our coverage, you have to give these guys enormous credit for the racing that they're providing. Particularly, it just seems to get better and better every week as we ride on board with Jason Cooper in the 35 5-star Motorsport car. He's running P8 at the moment. Obviously was P2, so down one place from where he kicked off with. But Jason Smith already up to 6th, Ronan Doherty up to 4th, Jordan Kelly in the lead.
Yeah, sometimes we see. Oh, actually, Jordan Kelly going really wide there, heading for the final corner. Sometimes we see the front runners, so to speak, struggle to cut through the field, but not necessarily here today, as we currently see Huan Ji Lin on the outside of Ronan Doherty. Look at Huan Ji Lin giving it to the championship leader ahead of this evening. Lin tries around the outside. Whoa, that's a massive slide mid-corner. Does very well to catch his car there and doesn't really lose too much ground. Here comes Jason Smith trying it up the inside of Ronan Doherty. These two, of course, battled in the previous races. A little bit of a nudge between the pair, but nothing that will be maybe looked by the stewards. All clean and fair for the most part, and Jason Smith gets the job done on Ronan Doherty. You can see there Jason Cooper looking to try make some moves as well on Sean McClements, a little bit wide from Ronan Doherty. That'll invite Huan Ji Lin maybe to look back up the inside. As we see here, this is Sean McClements on the outside of Lin. McClements, a little bit of a twitch mid-corner, will have to fall back behind.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to take your medicine. The same with Huan Ji Lin in that opening corner. Just, I think he gave a little bit too much respect, probably conscious of the fact that where Ronan Doherty was, as Jason Cooper said, he goes wide, and he's gonna hit Sean McClements, but he manages to keep it on the road. That is a superb piece of car control from Jason Cooper. If that was me, I'd be careering off right through the apex and cleaning out a few people. As we see more instance up front, that's Jason Smith. Who's that? Just Ronan Doherty? No, sorry, Conor and Rory O'Shea going wide. And I think Rory has slightly overcooked the tyres, because I saw him go very deep and putting on the brakes and locking them up a few corners ago. I wonder, is he starting to run with a little bit cooked tyres? Will we start to see the grip go on the 81 machine? Because of course, anyone who runs iRacing knows tyre temperatures are absolutely key to running fast lap times. Jason Cooper in 7th, back where he began.
Yeah, maybe Rory O'Shea just feeling the pressure of starting from pole a little bit here. He's ran wide again. It's going to allow Ronan Doherty to cut up through. This is maybe just cooking the tyres from Rory O'Shea, because he's been running well this evening. We know it's not too many driver errors or anything. And Huan Ji Lin is also going to get the spot off him in towards the first corner. O'Shea to 6th, then Doherty 4th, Lin 5th, and McClements getting past Tony Stack for 11th.
Yeah, McClements actually doing that move seemingly as he's twitched there between himself and Jason Cooper, and a little bit of contact again. Sean goes down the inside. This is all a little bit fractious between the two of these, but they managed to keep it going. A little bit scruffy from both messers, McClements and Cooper, in the last couple of corners. But it looked like Dylan McClements, should I say, he's gone down the order now. He seems to have had an incident, but he looked like he was going to overtake Tony Stack on the grass, Kevin Estra-esque down the main straight. But unfortunately, instant sees him now down to 16th position, having qualified so well as well. Fortunately, just more cases of races. And Lawrence de Soswa down in P17. He's been running superbly in races, but unfortunately his luck in the race has ran out. And I suppose the first major incident he's seen since Brands Hatch on the opening week. Jordan Kelly now leading by 0.8 of a second. That's probably the largest lead we've seen since we began this evening, Evan.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree, because that we saw basically no lead almost in race 2. Race 1 was just as close between Smith and Kelly, and Jason Cooper just there in 5th ahead of Huan Ji Lin, looking to try get on the back of Ronan Doherty and cut into his championship lead. It's not been the greatest week for Jason Cooper, unfortunately. Of course, he did manage to take the podium in race 2, but still was outscored by Jason Smith on that occasion, who's looking to become the new championship leader pretty much. This is Chris Knox on the back of Sean McClements. We've seen these two throw punch after punch at each other here so far this race. We are 6 minutes in exactly. We still have 14 to go, as I think that's Jamal Gandor running pretty wide in the background. That's going to allow Dylan McClements to cut through the field once again. So Dylan, a bit of a shaky start, but he's recovering fairly decently.
Yeah, he is, Dylan, in fairness to him. He shows superb pace and great patience as well, as we've seen over the last couple of races. That gap with Jordan and Sean McGoldrick now to 1 second. We'll see whether Jason Smith will launch an offensive on McGoldrick in P2, running particularly high is Sean. Obviously starting very high on the grid given his position. So started P2, he stays P2, which is a real credit to him given the pace of people that are out there. Conor Melia and Tony Stack having a great battle in the background. They swapping positions left, right, and centre. And Wan Chi Lin up in 6th place again. Another really good round from Lin. He was our driver of the day a couple of weeks ago, and another superb week from himself this week as Peter McCann watches Stack and Melia battle it out here through this midsection of Snetterton 300, and it looks like Melia got that one a little bit wrong, which is inviting Peter McCann up the inside. Will the brother have a positive headline for him? Probably not, if I know the McCanns like I know them. As the Earn Tires gets a good run out on the stream. The sponsors will be happy with that one, Evan.
Yes, as Peter McCann, very opportunistic of him to try sneak up the inside there. It worked for a moment. Oh, he's got to go again here. That was a big weave out of line for Peter McCann, but Conor Melia will still keep the position. Melia is way out of shape, though. This is going to invite Peter McCann once again. It's not been a lap to remember for Conor Melia. There's been a fair few missed apexes there, as that's actually Sean McGoldrick being overtaken by Jason Smith. Yes, that's Jason Smith up to second. Puts a 1.8 second lead. Jordan Kelly once again showing that he likes to lead from the front. Yeah,
Kelly has a really good gap now to manage, and all things going well, he should manage it. We saw him make a little mistake from the lead last round at Okayama with Oron Darty all over the back of him with an 1.8 second gap. And with Jason Smith having to keep an eye on his mirrors, there's a battle as well. Good driving, should I say, from Peter McCann there to pull a little bit of pressure on Conor Melia. I know he moved a lot out of line, but having seen Melia's lap and how it was going, he just got into his mirrors and just reminding him that he was there. You know, it's about the mental aspect as well, and there's things you can do that don't necessarily put you at risk, but can certainly put off the driver in front. And that's a great example of it there from Peter McCann, just getting in Conor Melia's wing mirrors and letting him know that he's there. As we see Diarmuid Toomey battling with our B Championship leader, Damien McMullen here in the B Championship. I'm just trying to see Dave Collier's in 23rd, so he's a bit of ground to make up, and this could be a very good evening again for McMullen from the DM Sim, should I say, racing team. Obviously DM standing for not direct message, Damien McMullen, I should suspect. But if you do want to DM, you probably can. If you want to slide into DMs, you can probably do that by going to his Instagram page, I imagine. Anyway, Tony Stack is P10.
We slowly lose the plot. It's his point. We've lasted a little bit longer, folks, but now we are setting up DMs for Damien McMullen, which I'm sure there's no problem with. Here comes Tony Stack going up the inside of Chris Knox. That's a good move from Tony. Tony always seems to perform in race 3, and he's driving pretty quickly here in this one as well, as that's Conor Melia once again taking that inside line. The more he does it, the more I'm inclined to think that's actually his racing line through that corner and not him making an absolute botch job of the entry.
Yeah, I suppose we all run different lines. So people that's what makes the world go round, is people doing different. Looking at that gap now, it's between Kelly and Smith up front, and we can keep an eye on this battle here because there isn't a huge amount on track, but just keeping an eye as there's somebody peeling off into the pits there. Is that Chris Knox? I wonder, does Chris Knox potentially have a drive-through penalty there? I can't imagine it's because of damage, so potentially went over that 16X as he comes back out of the pits now, and that was a very quick pit stop. Did he? Who was it that careered through the pit lane in Donington Park? With
it was definitely that livery, and I believe it's only himself and Jason Cooper that are running that. He's the only one who's lost positions, but there's no pit speed limit clearly for Chris Knox. That's weird.
I'm trying to remember who in F1 was it Ayrton went straight through the pit lane when in the old days when there wasn't a pit lane speed limit, where they called him into the pits and they weren't ready, so he just drove through the pit.
Yes, it was
at full pace. Yeah, that kind of what it reminds me. Let's have a look. Peels off. He goes through the pits.
He comes through it.
Go straight through it. That is
He-
not
Fast
racing
track
line. It's not.
in Formula E, there was a safety car, and it was quicker to go through the pit lane, so he just drove straight through the pit lane and came out in the race lead. But we don't have safety cars here, and I don't think it's quicker to go through the pit lane. So God only knows, but maybe we'll try to figure out what's just happened there, because I haven't a breeze.
I wouldn't do that in real life. That's all I'll say to Chris
No,
Knox.
do not.
I don't show them this footage if you ever try and do a track day and not at Snetterton. I don't think they'd be very impressed with that.
Especially if you're Chris Knox.
Especially if you're Chris Knox, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, he's behind Conor Melia, and speaking of interesting racing lines, going through the pit lane is definitely taking it to the nth degree. Chris, the B23 car, it's not been a great night for Chris either. As you said, it's Jason Cooper, you say it's not a great night for. I don't think it's a great night for Chris Knox either, to be honest.
No, this is going to take him out of a championship fight, really. And you know someone's getting desperate when the pit lane is the best overtaking opportunity he has. He's actually got past Conor Melia, mind you, so something clearly worked for Chris Knox. He's just got past Conor Melia. As you can see here, that is Dylan McClements looking to make a move as well. This is Chris Knox and Conor Melia, who are battling. Melia's got back past. Now McClements back on the inside, maybe going to have a lunge up the inside in towards the Montreal hairpin. He is. He's gone for a lunge in the podium. That's a cracking move from Dylan McClements to get that one sorted. Is Melia going to have another look maybe up the inside? He is gaining in the straight line, and we'll have the inside line here. If McClements could hold this round the outside, this would be truly brave stuff. He's got the exit. Dylan McClements is briefly ahead, but they'll still keep side by side. Conor Melia doing very, very well here to avoid the car on his outside and get a good run out the corner. He's going to be rewarded by that, by having the inside line heading for the Agostini hairpin of turn number 5. And still, no, now Dylan McClements is ahead. It was a long-winded move, but he finally got it sorted.
It's really super stuff from Dylan McClements. I mean, the first part of it, recognising that Knox and Melia had this battle and that they were kind of holding each other up. So to slip down the inside, you can do a double overtake without too much fuss, but not to hold it then through a part of the section of the track where you had 3 or 4 left-handed turns. He was on the outside for every single one of them to still make that stick. That's really superb stuff, as we see Wing-Fei Chan now going for a move down on Chris Knox, and he's going to keep the inside here for the next turn. So super work from the Malaysian Chan to get through to P12 in that 22 car. Just only 7 laps done. We're just goes to show you we're 14 minutes on the clock, 7 laps. That's about where we should be, about 2 minutes a lap here in the Snetterton 300 circuit. So we only have, I'm going to say, another 3 laps max potentially left in this one, maybe 4 laps left. So, like, obviously Jordan Kelly running away with it now. 1.9 is the gap, as we see Wan Chi Lin trying to make a move on Ronan Doherty, and there's Chris Knox again going through the pit lane at full speed. Is Chris attempting to get himself banned or disqualified? I really don't think Rob Parks, the championship and indeed his stewarding team of Sheep Whisperer Evan Walsh will look kindly on that. We'll explain the context for that later on.
For as Mickey Mouse would say. Remember that one?
Anyway, here's Ronan Doherty, Wang Jilin actually doing some serious racing here while we're just messing about. But we did promise in jokes and memes and all the above. So
another little joke I was going to say while we're still on the topic about long lap times. It's a good thing Hans isn't racing. That would have taken days to get the 400 laps in. Sorry, Hans, we do love you here, and the Norwegian Junior B team do as well, I'm sure. But back to maybe a little bit of serious racing. Wan Chi Lin is up to 4th now, trying around the outside of Ronan Doherty. That's brave stuff. On the brakes, on the inside line is Lin. Doherty will try keep it round the outside, and it looks like Sean McGoldrick is trying to get the job done here as well. Doherty, oh yes, that's experience showing. He knew at this stage of the race the car was light enough, there's enough grip on the tyres that you can just fling it around the outside of the Coram corner, and he has kept that position. But great to see Lynn and McGoldrick scrapping up here towards the top. It's, well, the more the merrier, as they say.
Yeah, it's superb stuff. And Wan Chi Lin again, there's Wing-Fei Chan. He seems to have lost a few positions there, having done so well earlier on. But yeah, Wan Chi Lin twice or three times now I've seen him on stream battling with Ronan Darty, and every single time he's given him plenty of space. So really good tight battling from Wan Qilin in that one, to be fair to him. Just looking at Hans, if Hans had done the regulation 400 practice laps ahead of the race, it would have taken him 13 hours and 20 minutes. So divide that over the course of a couple of days. Yeah, that is journalism. That is hashtag journalism for you here on Gantry TV. Chris Knox, P21, very, very strange. Some of the behaviour from Chris Knox tonight driving through the pit lane. I don't know, will we be able to get a replay of that? But I don't know, is Chris Knox just giving up the ghost, or is the frustration has gotten better of him? We'll see what happened here with Chris Knox. Here he is now, Peter McCann behind him going into T1. And Chris, a little bit of a wiggle on the outside, and that forces him through the grass there as he pirouettes through some of England's finest turf and into the pit lane he goes, unfortunately. Not a great night for Chris Knox, but still plenty of time left for him to get a decent result in the championship, because we do, of course, have 2 evenings left, as our graphics managed to miraculously come back just in time for Sean McGoldrick to make a move down the inside of Ronan Darty.
Yeah, it's not going to be one to remember for Chris Knox. We'll have to wait and still see about that weird pit lane thing where he decided to go down at full speed twice. I really can't see the stewards being fond of that. We're trying to get as realistic a series as possible here, and that would get you banned from any form of racing facility in real life. So we'll have to wait and see what the stewards think of that one, and of course we'll bring you that next week on the show. But battle for second position, Jason Smith versus Jason Cooper. It's not just a battle for second on track, it's also a battle for second, or potentially first, depending on how the maths adds up, in the championship. Cooper on the back of Smith, and Smith has looked the quicker of the pair, mind you, but we know Jason Cooper can keep it with the best of them on his evenings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see how Cooper was giving Smith a little bit of a nudge there, almost bump drafting him. We heard from Jordan Kelly that you can bump draft these things in real life. The gearbox is flat at the back and the nose cone is kind of flat at the front. There's a little bit of a crumple zone there, so it does give you the opportunity to bump draft if you want, and guys do in real life. Interesting to see Cooper help Smith out, though. These guys, as you say, have seen plenty of each other over the course of this championship. They were involved in a bit of a tangle at Donington Park, so it'll be interesting to see how they decide to play this one out. We should have time for a lap 11. I'm right in saying this is the final lap what am I doing? It's 18 minutes. Yes, we will have time for a lap 11 in this feature race here of round 6 of the championship. But before we see that, Jason Cooper holding off, Evan. Looks like he's kind of allowing Jason Smith to take the lead as Wan Qilin and Ronan Darty are swapping places.
Yeah, I think maybe he's waiting for a last lap thriller potentially from Jason Cooper. As here is Wan Qilin in his battle with Ronan Darty. This has been really great racing between these two. It's been good, it's been respectful, and it is really a showcase of the racing we kind of want here in RTA. As there's now Rory O'Shea. O'Shea got himself together, mind you, and he's going to hopefully bring it home for a good result as we do head down the Senna Straight for the final time. It's ironic, I've just looked at the track map. It's called the Senna Straight as we were talking about the Senna pit lane incident. Wan Qilin to the outside around Doherty and towards the first corner. However, Doherty is the inside line. Lynn on the outside has tried this a couple times, but it seems like this is the one that's found the most success. It's going to be late braking for the Montreal hairpin because it's the last time they'll go through it, so they may as well brake as late as they possibly can. Doherty, though, will just get out of the corner a little bit quicker here, and he will stay ahead of Wan Qilin for the time being.
Yeah, just ahead of him. Great moving there from Ronan Darty, and it's about making sure that you're where you need to be when you cross the line. You can be in 5th position for 10 laps if you want, but if you need to be 4th by lap 11, you get that done, and that's what Ronan Darty is endeavouring to do. As we see Sean McGoldrick have just a quick look at Wan Qilin, just to remind him that he's there. A battle between Smith and Cooper as well. No moving and shaking between those two, but still only 0.3 of a second as we head into the final lap here at Snetterton 300 for the final time. A track that has a really fascinating history as we look at Jordan Kelly rounding the final corner. Yeah, Snetterton, some fantastic bits about it, some different little bits and bobs that we can tell you about. We were hoping to tell you about, that, apart from the fact the racing was so good. But my favourite, I think, part of it was that the Russell Bend was initially added to improve safety by slowing vehicles as they approached the pits. It was then the scene of many accidents and was later altered to its present configuration. So I love that. We're going to put this bend in to be safe. Oh, loads of people have crashed. Well, we better change it now. I think that's fantastic.
It was
Anyway.
also a Le Mans testing facility for Norfolk Racing. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Le Mans. Doesn't really look like Snetterton apart from the long straights. But here comes Jordan Kelly, a man with a bit of personal history around Snetterton. He'll keep up the trend of winning one race an evening, and he will win race 3 here at Snetterton 300. Jason Smith will come home second, with Jason Cooper in third. But the titanic clash between Juan Ji Lin and Ronan Doherty, is Juan Ji Lin going to take it? Oh, he is! Juan Ji Lin comes home fourth, matching his personal best result, I believe, in RTA. And Ronan Doherty, look, he's lost a few points there in the championship that maybe he didn't think he was going to lose. Rory O'Shea 7th, McClemens 8th and 9th, and Conor Melliot brings it home in 10th. Another great evening of racing.
Superb stuff, as Peter McCann just does a little bit of a Tokyo drift, just so we can see the Earn Tyres. That's Earn Tyres sponsor once more on the cars. Damien McMullen, our B Championship leader, crossing the line. It looks like he's going to hold on to that B Championship lead heading into the penultimate evening. Yeah, some superb racing, but a very different race, I suppose, with Jordan Kelly leading from the front up close, but well deserved, I think, Evan, it's fair to say, for all the endeavouring that Jordan's done this evening. I think he deserves the win.
Yeah, I think he deserved at least one win here this evening. Jason Smith definitely deserved the other two, I think, for his brilliant defending from Jordan. But yeah, I think that's a fair result for Jordan. He was stellar in this one, just got to the front straight away and I didn't look behind. And it was a 1.7 second lead, which you wouldn't think it, but it was actually quite a large gap here in these Ray Racing cars.
In the context of this evening, absolutely enormous. I mean, we were talking about an 8/10 of a second gap being pretty much the largest we had seen up to that point. So to finish with 1.8 seconds difference is a great one for Jordan Kelly, of course, being helped by the fact that he was slightly further up the grid where he started. But it's just crazy how close the racing has been. I believe that Jordan is in waiting to have a chat with us. Let's bring him in and see what his thoughts are on the final race of this evening. Jordan, do you ever get sick of winning in Snetterton?
I don't know, but I kind of was hoping I could get a one there after the disaster, the last lap in the second race now. But whenever I seen Jason behind in second, I was thinking, I thought he was a few tenths faster than me, but lucky enough I had the few tenths in the bag, so managed to keep him get the gap or keep the gap to him.
Yeah, because that last race, obviously yourself and Ronan going off, both of you keeping it out of the barrier. So
Yeah.
as opposed to, that wasn't an absolute disaster in terms of the championship, but those battling in the first two races, we always know these are close, and they were close in the IDMC. They're close now at RTA, but to have essentially two races where the leaders were separated by less than a second for the entire race, it must be so tense. Your heart rate must be through the roof.
That second race there, where me, Justin, and Ronan were 3 wide in the first corner. We were just, I think we were just screaming at each other. We thought we were going to kill each other normally, so we were lucky to get through that. And everybody seemed to have a good enough second race until the last lap, and then everything just kicked off. But now the heart rate was well up in the last race. Whenever you see Jason Smith behind you, you need to get the move on. That's for sure.
Yeah, but a good evening overall for yourself. We were just talking earlier on with Evan. I mean, we spoke to you after your first win a couple of weeks ago, and we were saying, it's been one of those championships where you've had a lot of incidents and you're probably not really where you should be. But now you look at it, you've gained an enormous amount on the leaders, because they've all had bad weeks, but you've kind of consistently been getting good results.
Yeah, so after the first 2 weeks, I kind of got the head down, just decided not to do anything stupid too much and keep out of ball there. I did get some bad luck a few weeks, but I didn't get sent down the grid and had to recover or anything. So I was lucky enough that way. So I think I'm still in the fight, hopefully. So we'll see in the last 2 weeks now, I think. So how it goes.
Well, and finally, Damien McMullen said before we started that he thought Donald's after the racing tonight. We've established that Mikado sticks. What was your Jaffa cakes, garlic bread? Like what will you
Yeah.
eat? What will you be eating to celebrate this win?
I don't know. I'll see what's downstairs, I suppose. But I am a bit hungry, so there could be garlic bread or something. Normally the go-to thing in the freezer.
Stick on the grill.
Very important question. Sorry to butt in, Kevin. Is it garlic slices or like a baguette?
That's the baguette. Yeah, baguette.
Old school. That's old school.
Stick it in the air fryer. 10 minutes. Happy days.
Oh my God.
Though, respectful.
There you go. That's the stuff of champions. Jordan, thanks a million for coming on,
Thanks, Kevin.
and having a chat with us again. Congratulations. And as we said, well deserved, I think, after all your battling in the first 2 races. Jordan Smith, our race winner for race 3 this evening. Now we have both Jasons. Do we want to have a chat with them together, Evan, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, both called Jason. That means they're the same person, really, doesn't it? No, we can bring them in. We can bring them in together. We did speak to them both earlier, but we have Jason Cooper and Jason Smith with us now. Lads, good to have you both back with us. It's another podium. We'll start with Jason Smith. Jason, I was speaking to you earlier, and we asked, could you win this one? It wasn't quite the win, but are you happy with P2?
Kind of. You know, so I wouldn't love to cut Jordan. I was catching him that little bit at the start, and then I made a few mistakes, and just no real chance for me to catch it. And it was just a matter of staying ahead of Jason.
Jordan said just in his interview a couple of minutes ago, when you have Jason Smith behind you, you know you have to get a move on. Is that maybe a little bit of a confidence booster for you heading into the final races of the championship?
Yeah, definitely. I know. I was talking to him while we were racing. I was like, "Oh, Jordan, I'm coming for you now. Don't be making any mistakes." And I was hoping he'd make a few, but he kept it clean and done a great job. It's so hard when we're so evenly paced, and it's just a matter of them fine details who can make the less mistakes and different lines and all that come into factor. But he done a great job and kept the head down.
Look, next week we head for another flyaway around. We head to Le Mans in France. Have you ever driven the circuit there? Any opinions on it?
No, I haven't. I haven't even bought the track yet. I seen it on board, and it's very up and down, and a lot of twisty corners and off camber. So it should be interesting. Hopefully, there won't be as much of a tow in the likes of the English tracks. Like the English tracks, in a tow you could gain about 5 or 6 tenths. But now in Lebanon, there's only that little one straight, so it's all about the corners. So should be good.
Well, Jason, once again, big congratulations from this evening. Pole, 2 wins, and a second place. I suppose you can't turn that down.
No, definitely not. No.
So thanks very much to Jason Smith. We have another Jason with us, Jason Cooper, P3. We were having a chat about you earlier, and we were trying to figure out, like, was it a good day for you? Would you have considered it a good day this evening? Because 2 podiums, but I suppose you're so used to trying to fighting for the wins.
Yeah, maybe a little bit disappointed with that first race. Lost a toe on the first lap, and the top 3 got away, and then got pit right on that last lap, which was a little bit disappointing. But the other 2 races were good. I didn't quite have Jason's pace there, so I was kind of keeping with him in his toe there. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite get in Jordan's toe. If he'd have got those extra couple of tenths, it would have perhaps been a bit of a different story.
Yeah, but look, starting P8 up 6 places to P. Sorry, should I say up 4 places? Starting P7 up 4 places to P3, and at one point you would kind of drop a place in the first couple of laps. So I mean, you made up the bones of 5 places in the space of around 5 or 6 laps. So I mean, reasonably good. I mean, you probably, when you were sitting in P8 originally, you probably thought a podium was a long way off.
Yeah. It's those first couple of laps. Just you got to try and keep out of trouble because there's a lot going on. So yeah, luckily when I did get through, still was within the toe of Jason and could toe up to the back of him. But yeah, just perhaps a couple of laps short of having a proper go for second.
We were just talking about the kind of track and car combo. Snetterton is It's funny. Not very often I've raced on Snetterton. Not very often I've commentated on Snetterton. But it seemed like for us watching, it seems like it's really well suited, or these cars are really well suited for this track. It's wide enough to accommodate 2 or 3 wide, but tight enough to make sure that you're kind of having to slot back in without the aero to make sure that you hit those kind of high aero corners.
Yeah, track's really good for these cars. There's a good mix of corners, some tight technical stuff, and some fast corners, and obviously some straights to put a bit of toe into it as well. Yeah, it does lend to some pretty decent racing.
Yeah, superb stuff. And Jason, look, 2 podiums. You'll take that, I suppose. And into final 2 rounds, are you still eyeing the championship?
Yeah, we'll see how these last 2 rounds go. Keep my nose clean, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, that I suppose is everyone's intention for the last 2 rounds. Jason Cooper, thank you very much for joining us. Evan, so another crazy evening. I mean, like we talk about the spills of Brands Hatch and the drama of Donington, but the racing tonight, just the pure racing, is something that in my years of commentating, I actually, apart from maybe the Digital Motorsports World Cup, I haven't seen racing this close for so long.
Yeah, I think that second race was top quality, and that's something you get on a rare occasion in sim racing when you have 5 guys who are at the level they are at the top of a championship, and they're all battling so close and keeping it clean. There was a couple of brilliant moments as well between Jason Smith and Jordan Kelly as well. They were side by side and towards turn number 9 a few times. You had Ronan Doherty and Huan Chi Lin as well. There was a Peter McCann launched the Soswa battle at one point as well. Tony Stack maybe in the mix there as well. The 2 McClements brothers were making moves. All around, it was just a cracking evening of racing, and probably one of the best we've had this season, to be honest. It's tough to beat every week, but this is certainly up there on the leaderboard of best races.
Yeah, 100%. And as we say, as they're getting more comfortable with each other and more comfortable with the machines, it seems like the racing is getting better and better. We move to let in on next week. It's in a part of France I'm familiar with, but a track that I'm not really that familiar with. It's set a bit of a kind of one of these roller coaster cliche ones, kind of giving a lot of altitude change and very undulating and windy. So interesting. Also, the only major track in France to run in an anti-clockwise direction, so kind of gives a bit of a different feel. You'll be looking at the right fronts as opposed to the left fronts.
Yeah, I'm again not very familiar with it, but I did print out a little track map for notes a few weeks ago. And the first corner is hold on, let me just count it here. 1, 2, is a 4 apexed, 3 left, 1 right apexed corner. So, that should be interesting. Then it's kind of twisty, turny, uphill, downhill. So look, it's another challenge for these drivers, and if you want to be a champion, you've got to tackle all the challenges that you face. Let alone clearly going to be one of them, it seems. It's very different to the British circuits we've had. Maybe more like Okayama, which was kind of on camber, as we heard from Jason Smith. This one's very off camber, so look, it's different, and I think everyone's going to be thoroughly looking forward to it if it can be half as good as Snetterton was.
Yeah, I suspect that others will be joining Hans Mollet in practicing quite a lot. Once the girlfriend's birthday is over today, I'm sure he'll be back on the sim, if not tonight, the minute he get home, practicing for next week. But we'll have to look at a driver of the day. Yeah,
yeah.
And I'm not going to make it.
No.
There
is not that kind of organization, but
we have to look at a driver of the day, and I have to say, normally there's one that stands out for us, but this week, unless you have one that
I was thinking the same.
It's very hard to call.
I think we both subconsciously like to lean a little bit further down the grid with driver of the day sometime, but I think Jason Smith has to be nominated at least, because he did win 2 races, take pole and get a win. I think Huan Chi Lin had a good race as well, of course, taking 4th in that last one. Rory O'Shea wasn't bad either, had a bit of a poor start to race 3, though. I think that's the only thing that maybe might knock him out of contention. I don't know if you have any other suggestions, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it's just hard, as you say, it's hard to oversee Jason Smith. Yeah, it's normally, and you'd say with Jason, you'd say, okay, two first place finishes in the second place, but it's I think we're just gonna like he went up, he was the highest climber as well in the final race, so it's very hard to look past him. I'm going to nominate Jason Smith. I think you're right in your suggestion, Evan. I mean, winning first two races and up 6 places in the feature, you can't really look beyond it, can you?
Yeah, I think it was a very impressive performance from Jason. He's been good this season, but this was top quality from him, and I think it is deserved. It's definitely a deserved nomination. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and what a result for Jason to finish P1 in both races and P2. It's very much putting his stamp on the championship as we head to the south of France next week. But Evan, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Let's hope every week can be as good as this week, because that was really good. And finally, of course, a big thanks to everyone for tuning in once again, and a big thanks to our sponsors as well. We greatly appreciate all the support here on Gantry TV, and yeah, that's all from me for another week of waffling.
But tune in next week, same bat, as I say, same bat time, same bat channel, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. Where else would you want to be other than right in front of your TV, watching this superb championship, the RTA Motorsport Ray Formula Ford 1600 series. Again, our many thanks to Ray Racing for their continued coverage. My huge thanks to Ronan Hederman for all of his work behind the scenes. Thanks to all of you for tuning in and chatting to us and giving us your likes and spreading the good news. Thanks to Evan as ever for putting up with my rambles and occasionally getting in on a joke that he probably shouldn't be dragged into in his professional broadcasting career. But for me, Kevin Galvin, thank you very much again for watching. We'll be here next week for this penultimate evening of the RTA Formula Ford 1600 series. But until then, slán go fóill.
Sorry. Excellent. Copy that. Thank you.
Oh, Jesus, how are you going?